Hey y'all, welcome back to Today in Music History for September 19th, unless I've been canceled. Hopefully I haven't. It was 40 years ago today in 1985 that Dee Snider of Twisted Sister, John Denver, and Frank Zappa testified at a Senate hearing against the PMRC's efforts to label albums with warning stickers for explicit lyrics. The musicians contended that labeling the albums would be a form of censorship. In his statement, Zappa says, "The establishment of a rating system, voluntary or otherwise, opens the door to an endless parade of moral quality control programs based on things certain Christians do not like." Good to see that things have changed in the last 40 years, right? Right, Jimmy Kimmel? Wait. The artists, they lost, and the parental advisory explicit lyrics sticker began to be placed on albums. Alice Cooper can sing about necrophilia, and Johnny Cash could sing about murder, but don't let Prince sing Darling Nikki or Madonna sing Like a Virgin. That's bad. They went so far as to want a rating system like movies have. X for sex, O for occult, DA for drugs and alcohol, and V for violence. That part failed, at least. There's an urban legend that Frank Zappa's Jazz from Hell was one of the first albums to get the explicit lyrics sticker. Now keep in mind, Jazz from Hell is instrumental. The truth, however, is it was a department store in 1990 that gave the album its own version of the explicit lyrics sticker. Still stupid, but not quite as stupid. And I didn't mean to go that long on that one, so let's kind of blast through the rest of these. It was 44 years ago today, in 1981, that Paul Simon and Art Garfunkel reunited for a concert in Central Park. This was following more than a decade since their final album. And while the attendance has been disputed, it was announced that 500,000 fans attended that show. It was later released as a live album in 1982 called The Concert in Central Park, and also aired as a concert film on TV. 52 years ago today, in 1973, Graham Parsons died from a drug overdose in Joshua Tree, California. He was, of course, from the Byrds and the Flying Burrito Brothers, which is one of my favorite names. But what happened afterwards was even crazier. His body was being prepared to be shipped off to his family in Louisiana, but his tour manager and friend, they stole a hearse and his body and drove it back to Joshua Tree. They then poured gasoline into the open coffin and lit it on fire. Graham Parsons wanted to be cremated, and they tried to make that happen for him. And then what was left of the body was sent back to Louisiana and buried. Crazy. And happy birthday to Trisha Yearwood, who turned 61 today. Lita Ford turned 67. Nile Rodgers turned 73, and Beatles manager Brian Epstein would have been 91. He passed away in 1967 at the age of 32. I think in his honor on his birthday, we should release his files to the world. I think Mr. Epstein would like his files to be released, but